chocolate today. And so this is just some basic chocolate. We're actually just using some coating chocolate today. We're not going to be doing any tempering. That'll be another class. But for this one, what I want to be able to show is how we're going to make some fillings, to make some filled chocolates in our chocolate molds. So let's give this a go. Okay, so we're going to do a few different flavors, but to start off with, we're going to make some caramel. And so for our caramel filling, we're just going to take a can of sweetened condensed milk, submerge it into water. We're going to bring this up to a simmer for about 4 hours, and we'll let it cool down. It's going to be a perfect creamy caramel for us. Now to melt our chocolate, we've got a couple of different ways that we can use. So this is a bain-marie, so I have a saucepan that has a little water in there. I'm going to place this over the top. We're going to let this come up just to a simmer, and that's going to slowly and gently melt our chocolate. Or there's the next method where we can very carefully and gently microwave our chocolate until it goes from this solid state into a liquid one. So now one other thing we could do is use a sous vide machine where we can control the exact temperature of our chocolate as it's melting. If we were to put it into a vacuum packed bag, we just have to be very careful then not to let the chocolate become exposed to any water. Water is the nemesis of chocolate. Alright, first things first, let's make our lives a little easier. Grab the baking parchment, get a good piece of this. This is going to make it so much easier to clean up. Now we've got to get all the air bubbles out, so give it a good tap. And now we want to run off all the excess. So we may need to tap it, make sure we get as much of that off as we can. Try and keep it all inside this container. That's why we've got the parchment down. Make our lives a little easier later on. Then we can use our palette knife, scrape it down. There's still a little more to come out there. Then you got that last little bit out. Give it a good clean scrape. Try and get everything off the edges, keeping it as nice and clean as possible as you go. Makes it so much easier to fill afterwards. Now we're going to let this sit in the refrigerator just for a couple of minutes, just to let that sit up, and then we're going to be able to fill. Now if you don't have one of those polycarbonate molds, I got this one over at Target. I think it was about $2 or $3, so you can get some of these rubberized types of ones as well. Same kind of deal. Take the melted down chocolate and we're literally just going to pour it straight into these molds. I'm going to tap them off a little bit just to make sure that there's no air in them, no pockets of air. Then we're going to scrape it off after you drip out the chocolate to get a nice lining inside the mold. Okay, so we've taken our chocolate out of the refrigerator now. Remember, it's only in there for literally just a couple of minutes, just to help it to start sitting up. We don't want any condensation issues to start building up in here, because remember, water is the kryptonite, it's the enemy of our chocolate. This is a fat-based product. If you start trying to have any water get in there, it's just going to wreck the whole setup of your chocolate. It won't work out. So we have our sweetened condensed milk now, which was scooped out after we boiled that in the can for 4 hours. It's now this fantastic caramel. And so we're just going to snip off the corner here, and we're going to fill each of these. Make sure you never overfill these. Don't be tempted to put more in there than we can fit. We want it to be below the level, below that line at the top here, so that we can put a good full surface of chocolate right over the top to cap these off. all that's left to do is to top this off, and then we're going to trim them right across the top just to make sure they've got nice smooth bases. We're going to let this set up in the refrigerator again just for a few minutes. With these polycarbonate molds, you actually want the chocolate to be slightly refrigerated so that it slightly shrinks, and then it's going to come out of the mold just fine.